The first time I felt another man's breath on my skin, our noses nearly touching and our lips close enough to kiss, he was screaming in my face. His breath smelled like an unholy combination of chewing tobacco and curdled milk. We were in an outdoor staging area crowded with 125 other recruits for the U.S. Army's Infantry Basic Training Program in Fort Benning, Georgia. This was decidedly not how I imagined the first real physical closeness I'd share with another man would be. "You eyeballing me, motherfucker?" he said. His eyes were boring directly into mine as I tried desperately not to react to their steely darkness. I thought, I must have missed this part in the brochure. The ease with which I went from being a merit roll student in my high school to standing in line for infantry basic training not even 4 months after graduating with one of the top GPAs in the class was almost shocking. Great things were expected from me, the 4.0 honor roll student who would most certainly be going on to some big-time university to become a broadcaster after anchoring the high school newscasts for years. Alas, in a 98% black school, where athletics were placed at a higher priority than academics, the guidance counselors didn't quite know what to do with the fat kid who hadn't played a sport in his life. My parents didn't have the money for college, and I just kind of slipped through the cracks. All of the above is how I found myself dialing the number to the Army recruiting office in hopes of doing something, and perhaps getting to go to college on the Army's dime. At that point in my life, I was spending most of my days doing absolutely nothing besides eating, living at home with my grandmother, and working part-time waiting tables at Denny's. I dreaded the particular hell that was Tuesday family free nights. An assortment of baby mamas would come in large groups and shovel free kids' meals down their demon spawn's throats, running me ragged and leaving me a $1 or $2 tip for the privilege. Surely there had to be more to life than this, but if there was, I certainly didn't know. Maybe it was time to find out. Over the phone, the Army people said that it was okay that I didn't have a car. They eagerly sent a recruiter over to drive me to the station and talk a little about the Army. I closed the phone book and sat at the kitchen table. I was alone, as usual, in the kitchen of the modest 2-story house I'd spent the majority of my teen years in. I was nervous about what I was about to do, but strangely excited. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I knew I needed a change. I knew I needed to leave home and go to college, but I didn't know how to get there. Perhaps this was my time to shine, to be all I could be. There was a knock on the door, and I opened it to see an Adonis. At that point, something very powerful came over me. The feeling was new, different, exhilarating, and thrilling. This gorgeous man towered over me, offered a sweet smile, and stuck out his hand. "You're Mr. Smith?" he asked. Yeah, I said, almost forgetting to breathe. "I'm Corporal Kevin Garvin. I'm going to take you to the recruiting station so we can have a little conversation." I had never seen someone so beautiful before, and I was smitten. Tall and lean, he was like a real-life Ken doll. He had blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and perfectly tanned skin. I couldn't remember having ever met someone so good-looking in real life. Though I was only vaguely aware of some hidden sexual tendencies just beneath the surface of my outward teenage awkwardness, I knew that I just wanted to be with him. His hair was golden, and his skin glowed. His camouflage uniform fit just right on his lean, muscular frame. I nodded and followed him into his car, a bright blue Camaro. We didn't say much during the ride to the recruiting station, but I couldn't have talked if I wanted to. I was nervous, excited, and happy. I felt like I could melt just by being in close proximity to this man. I was vaguely aware of sounds coming out of his mouth as he drove, but I couldn't place them. I was lost in him. The arch of his eyebrow, the curve of his lips, and the way his smile seemed to start in his eyes and spread across his entire face were all things that I noticed and wanted to have forever. He was just so different from anyone I'd interacted with before. The west side of Akron, Ohio was my entire world, and that world was nearly exclusively filled with faces that were black like mine. Corporal Garvin was something fresh and new. He represented the fact that just maybe there was a different world out there beyond what I'd already seen. That thought filled me with equal parts fear and excitement. For the next few weeks, Corporal Garvin was mine, giving me more attention than anyone had.